Hey guys, in this video I'll be comparing 2024 Arnold the UK Samson Dauda and 2024 New York Pro Nick Walker. Now the last time these two competed against each other resulted in a very fierce competition at the 2023 Arnold where Samson ultimately came out on top. By using their most recent and arguably their best versions, it should give us some valuable insight into what their battle at the Olympia will look like. Both definitely have made improvements since their last battle, so it should be interesting to see how this one ends up. Now, before the video does start, a like and sub would be much appreciated as it helps out the channel tremendously. Also, let me know down below what you think of these styles of videos, or if there are any other videos you'd like to see in the future. With that all being said though, let's get into this video. Alright, the first pose, the front double, definitely is an apple versus oranges type of pose. Samson has that imposing frame with super long limbs and great overall flow. His vacuumed waist creates a nice taper, and his flaring lats only accentuate it. Sure, his arms may not be the most separated or peaky, however, his quads are absolutely massive, sliced and diced to the bone. Nick looks good as well, presenting his trademark guns, great lats, and shredded midsection. His quads are definitely a weak point on his physique, as their lack of sweep and shorter length cause him to look a little bit top-heavy. Overall though, Nick looks more conditioned and detailed than Samson, especially in the arms. However, Samson's lines and aesthetics stand out just as much. Personally, I would go for Nick, because he has superior arms and a better upper body overall, and impressive freak factor as well. However, I'd say that Samson's structure, muscularity, and decent enough conditioning are right up there as well. So let me know down below, who would you have in this pose? The front lat spread is immediately a Samson Dauda pose, as any judge or fan can see how unfavorable of a structure Nick has for this pose. While he looks markedly improved from his previous showings, his waist is still very large and a real eyesore in my opinion. He almost reminds me of a Hassan Mustafa without massive quads, which for Hassan is the saving grace in the pose. In contrast, Samson's midsection looks near picture perfect in comparison, and his phenomenally cut and separated quads look proportional to his wide and very dense upper body. While Nick's conditioning and individual muscle groups may look impressive alone, Samson's shape, size, structure, and solid detail definitely expose Nick's weaknesses and are clearly too much for Nick to handle. Going to the side, we have the side chest, and this one could definitely go either way. Samson's larger stature doesn't necessarily mean more density, however, he does have tons of thickness in the chest, side leg, and arm. Nick matches and beats Samson in the arm and delt, however, the side leg is very close. Nick has that thin skin conditioning and the ability to get really shredded, while Samson has a thicker quality to his leg texture. However, the deep cuts and fine details are definitely noticeable as well. That conditioning disparity is definitely seen though when comparing the striations of the chest, arm separation, and midsection detail, where Nick easily beats Samson. That being said, Samson's thickness and roundness of the chest, delt, side leg, things like that are all very impressive. Overall, I'd probably go with Nick as he isn't getting outsized by much, while outconditioning Samson by a decent margin. The rear double is interesting, as at the 2023 Arnold, Nick handily beat Samson, who had a much weaker back at the time. Now though, Samson's back has improved a considerable amount, showcasing similar density, detail, and definition all around. Nick still beats him in width of the lats, however, areas like the Christmas tree region might just go to Samson. All that said, Nick still easily wins in the arms and delts, and absolutely destroys Samson in the legs. Just take a look at the fine detail that Nick has in the glutes, and the hamstrings are just shredded to the bone, and compared to Samson, there really is no contest. Even at his best, Samson has yet to bring fully shredded hamstrings, or really any separation of the glutes for that matter, which definitely holds him back. Both guys do have great calves though, which I thought was definitely important to note. Anyways, this is definitely a Nick Walker pose due to the lower body conditioning, superior arms, and slightly better back. The rear lat spread is actually a closer pose, as their backs look roughly even. If anything, Samson's higher lats help him create a more dramatic V-taper. However, I wouldn't say that he's any wider overall. Neither are super impressive in density, development, or separation, as this really isn't, their best pose. However, I'd give Nick an edge in separation, while Samson looks thicker in the traps and lower back. The lower bodies are basically the same story, as Nick's shredded hamstrings and detailed glutes make Samson look 5 weeks out. Samson does have some decent hamstrings, however, the lack of glute separation really throws off the entire lower body, and his thicker skin hides the detail that he might have. While the upper bodies are definitely close, I would go with Nick for the total package. Here's the side tricep, a pose which Nick really has mastered, while Samson still needs a bit more work. Samson does look very aesthetic and large, however nothing really stands out to me. I think his posing could use some tweaking, as he could probably stand a bit straighter and fix his posture, and open up a little bit more and look a bit more imposing. That being said, his side leg is incredible, his arm and delt are great, and his chest appears super full. However, I'm personally not the biggest fan of the overall posing execution. Nick looks like his trademark self though, presenting a tight and detailed midsection, huge tricep, good chest and delt, and solid side leg. Objectively, these two are definitely close, as they are very comparable in size. However, Nick definitely out-details Samson in the upper body, especially in the midsection and arm. I'd probably go with Nick for his superior tricep and better posing. However, let me know down below, who do you think would win this pose? The ab and thigh used to be a take-home pose for Nick in my opinion, however here it's much closer than it ever has been. Nick's abs used to be a very strong point, taking attention away from his wide waist and smaller quads. Now though, they seem to be less separated and feature an even more large split in the middle. Samson has an unaesthetic split as well, however his smaller waist relative to his structure helps him create a more impressive V-taper. Additionally, his enormous quads have great sweep and are nicely feathered as well, contrasting with the sweepless quads of Nick. While Nick may have more detail and conditioning in the midsection and legs, from a thin skin perspective, I'd say Samson's shape and structure are too ideal for the pose. Therefore, I'd go with Samson over Nick. However, if this was 2022 or 2023 Nick Walker, I'd probably give Nick the nod. The last pose, the most muscular, is a solid pose for both. Now, Nick immediately captures my attention, presenting that crazy vascularity and detail that really isn't something that Samson possesses. Samson is great though, presenting tons of size, solid conditioning, and bubbly roundness, which are impressive alone. Going back to Nick though, I think that his overpowering upper body almost overshadows his lagging quads in a good way. Everything looks just so crazy upstairs that it takes away from the legs and other weak points. I think that this wow factor alone is what I look for in a pose like the most muscular, and continues to draw my attention as I look at Nick. I'd definitely go with Nick for that matter. However, let me know down below, what do you think of these two? Alright guys, that's it for this video. In summary, I had Nick winning 6 out of the 8 poses, but the front double, side chest, side tricep, ab and thigh are definitely debatable poses, and Nick definitely did slam the door shut though in the back poses, especially in the lower half. I think that Nick has very high chances of beating Samson if he comes in with a freaky package, and I think in my opinion, if he plays the aesthetics game like he did in 2023 at the Arnold, he definitely won't win, and it won't do him any favors, as he definitely can't have a smaller waist than Samson. Now, as long as he keeps his waist the same though, I'm sure he'll be able to beat Samson at this upcoming Olympia. Anyways guys, let me know down below what you thought of this video. Do you think that he's going to be able to beat Samson at the Olympia? And like always, I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.